Hello. It's the same day as my last video. Honestly, yeah, it's about a few hours later, like maybe 5 hours later, and I edited the video. I uploaded the video just to have it up, and then I've just been laying around. I felt so spiritually transformed for some reason, and I've just been sitting here integrating everything and integrating like my whole life. Like all of a sudden, I just feel like my whole life started coming back to me, and I just not coming back to me, but I feel like I've been so intensely focused that I just haven't felt good for a while, and I just needed like to integrate all this stuff. And I was thinking about like when I was a teenager, like all this just I was just doing all this like random like I don't know, and watching Anthony Bourdain. First I watched Twilight, then I watched Anthony Bourdain, and I was just laying there like navigating my whole life and just being like, whoa. I don't know, I just kind of felt different and but like weird and like it just like it was like I don't know, it was cathartic is like the right word for it. It was a very cathartic feeling to get that piece together because I've been just trying and trying for like a while, and yeah, it was cathartic. But I have other like I have so many things that I want to do with my life, but I've just been sitting here like putting in like a little bit of effort and all this stuff. Like I mentioned in another video that one day I want to make a documentary with my sister. I'm holding her to it that she's gonna do it with me. And I like made like a little list because I was watching Anthony Bourdain and I was getting inspired and all this stuff. So that's basically all I've been doing, and then just laying around and like groaning because I just feel kind of like weird and sick and like what. Yeah, I said this whole thing has kind of felt like some weird exorcism, and I just feel like it was like the demon like got sucked out of me, and I was like, I can breathe, and I just felt so like mentally still. Anyways, I did just want to spend a second admiring my own handiwork and trying to find the next papers. This is what we have. You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of this summer before I went to college. Like genuinely, I just started just like integrating all this stuff. I feel like a lot of my high school memories got sucked into my dissociative amnesia kind of feeling. And it was really hard for me to remember high school that well. Like I just didn't, I don't know, it was just kind of not there that well. And I always think it's because I feel like the me of that was my freshman year self to me was still the exact same self that I was like 16, 17. And then after post trauma, I feel like that was like a whole nother edition of me, like a whole different me that I just saw myself as like split into these two different lives. And I feel like anything related to that, like that period of time, just got kind of sucked out. I was sitting there thinking about the summer that I had my first kiss. It was the summer before I went to college, and thinking about all that. And I was thinking about when I used to go to the mall with my mom and my sister, and just how it felt. And I was like, I felt so different. I felt so like none of this existed. It's kind of crazy to have this here. And it's like none of this existed in my brain at all, like even 5 years ago. Like I was not doing any of this. I just feel like my head was so much. I was depressed a lot. I'm just thinking of high school, and like even though I wasn't, life wasn't perfect, I felt so like there was not like this heavy weight on my life, and my life was so much simpler and just lighter. I feel like my life has felt so heavy the last like 5 years. It's just been massively heavy. This project has been massively heavy. It just feels like a rock on my head sometimes that like I have to get the rock off. And I feel like that was why I started thinking about it, is I feel like this was like the rock is like kind of getting off my head. I feel some grief sometimes. I'm like, I want to feel just lighter. And yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, it's being like changed forever. And I just feel like my framework of the world changed so much. And the me that I am now is so vastly different from the me I was at like 17, 18. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel so adult. Like I was just like I was in like a whole different world. Like I wasn't even living in like I live in London. Like it's just kind of weird, like weird stuff. Yeah, I'm just thinking about yeah, I was just thinking about my child like not my childhood, like my teenagehood and stuff, and I just feel like I hadn't thought about it in like a very long time. I did feel like I actually feel lighter. Like I genuinely feel like it was like I felt it in my whole soul, like a weight just started to kind of like lifting so much, and I just feel lighter already. So I feel like it's gonna feel so good to finish this. I kind of see this in a spiritual sense that like this was like a spiritual mission of some kind, like I feel like, it's good that it's good that I was the one to get this trauma, if that makes sense, because that means that I could offer people a solution. I was going to have that type of passion and I was going to have that interest. I was going to have the capacity to do this project, and then in doing that, everybody else hopefully will have more information for their own conditions and more access and stuff. So I feel like it was really like a yeah, I was thinking about my spirituality a lot also, and just yeah, I just feel like having kind of a spiritual cathartic moment today, and yeah. But I want to see now about these things. I want to go straight to the one that makes the ACH go up, septal neurons. I'm just gonna open papers. I don't think I'm gonna read yet. I feel like now we're kind of speeding to the end. I was getting kind of like bogged down in this project and feeling worried, like I don't know enough to finish, but it's good. Okay, it's interesting because this stuff is gonna affect the theta. Why do I feel like this is gonna elevate again? I don't know, maybe it won't, but now that I know this, I feel like I can get more precise. I feel like when I actually get this paper published, that's gonna be the real like spiritual release of my life. Like it's gonna be crazy. I already know. I just feel like the further in I get, like the lighter I feel, even though this has been a heavy project, but I just feel like more okay. Oh, I just see it happening. Like this is all right. This is all good. And now these are all about the acetylcholine. What about I keep forgetting the name of this. It's norepinephrine. Let's actually look up how to say it. Why are words so hard to pronounce in neuroscience? Also, because I'm just looking at them blind. Like I've never heard anybody say this word in my life, so it's like, how do you even? Is it norepinephrine or frine? Frine? Norepinephrine? What? Okay. The pronunciations are also not intuitive at all. Norepinephrine? Who would have guessed that? And wait, let's learn the other one. What was the one that I was definitely saying wrong in the last video? It was like locus something. How do you say this? I'm gonna be scared by how the actual pronunciation is. I already know. Norepinephrine. Ceruleus. Locus ceruleus. Anyways, norepinephrine. There's so much to learn. What is the A1 versus the A2? What even are they? I feel like I have taken the most intensive course in the most niche thing. And it's so funny when I'm in class because my classes have nothing to do with this. And I'm just sitting there like, what is wrong with me? But we were learning very interesting things today in social psychology. I actually saved one thing that I was like, I want to like remember this. Even though I'm sure everybody's already talked about it, but I was shook. Let me find it. It was super interesting for me as somebody who's very, very interested in culture and race, particularly because I did my undergrad and did a lot of classes on that. But I'm sure I'd heard this before, but we were talking about people like grouping up and how people kind of dictate themselves by the people around them, and we were learning about this experiment. It was on Oprah. Like they did it on Oprah. I don't know if the original group was on Oprah per se, but it was they no, this was a different one. This is a very different one. The one we were watching was on Oprah, and they had one group basically, yeah, so basically they had the blue-eyed people. They convinced the blue-eyed people that they were like that the brown-eyed people were like basically getting like an advantage. And it's very funny. Very quickly, people like it was this confirmation bias situation where very quickly the people with brown eyes and the people with blue eyes, like they bought it. They really bought that the people with brown eyes were getting like preferential treatment. But then they also really bought that the brown eye people instantly started to feel superior. And it was so funny because they actually had like they were getting like into it, and the brown eyed people started to actually believe that they were superior. And there's one lady with brown eyes, and she was like, yeah, I actually remember when I was younger, and there was this a brown like I had this friend with blue eyes, and she was so stupid, and she would just copy all my homework and all this stuff, and like blue eyed people are so stupid, and it's crazy how quickly you can influence people. I found that incredibly interesting given like my interest in race and just like how fake it is. It's so horribly fake. It means nothing. It is not real. None of it is real, and it's insane how we can convince people that they are like this or that off of something that means absolutely like genuinely nothing. It is There's this amazing line in, my favorite, one of my favorite texts that I want to read more of his work, but Noel Ignatiev's "The point of whiteness is not to interpret it but to abolish it." And he says that without the privileges that we attach to it, the white race would have no significance, no more significance than big feet. And it's like, yeah, none of it means anything at all, and it's so incredibly fake, but we are just built, like we are literally just neurologically built to just manufacture these groups and just be like influenced to like protect them. And it's crazy. It's like just part of how we're built. And it's unfortunate the way that it's manifesting. And it's yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy that we just naturally sort of take these positions, but they're so painful and harmful and not okay at all. But I mean, I think we can learn to be cognizant, but I've been thinking a lot about like, is this always going to be us because of everything going on in society right now, and just how awful it is. And I just feel like we perpetuate in these cycles as humans, and I just keep thinking like, is this going to be us forever? Like, are we just trapped, just living this story over and over again, and we never learn and we never move past it? It's like, no, we never like, or like, are we just meant to disagree and hate each other forever? It kind of drives you crazy. When I was younger, I was very like a peace loving girl. We had the Richmond Peace Education Center in my city, which I'm looking it up right now. I heard that it's not. I think that I heard that it's not like running anymore, which would break my heart because it was a massive part of my childhood. The Richmond Peace Education Center, this is the coolest nonprofit in Richmond, and it's been around for a long time, but they basically do all these workshops about like conflict resolution and etc. And when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, I won some essay contests that they ran. I won third grade one year. I mean, third place, second place, or I don't know. It was third or second place when I was like in the fourth grade. Fifth grade, I actually won first place for my essay, like a citywide essay contest, and I got my first DSI. It was like my one of my favorite childhood memories. And then after that, when I was like in middle school, I did their they had a this was really cool. They did conflict resolution training for younger kids, like middle school, and it was like a weekend thing. You would go and get trained to do nonviolent like conflict resolution, and then you would go and they would I think they would pay us, even like they would pay us, and we'd go to other schools and we would teach to kids like our age and stuff. We would teach what we learned. I remember learning so much. The main thing that always stuck with me was to always use I statements. Like, I feel that this is that and that, rather than like, you did this and this and this. And it's just such a cool organization. And I was pretty involved when I was younger and stuff. But yeah, I was always like a peace loving girl. And I would like wish for world peace on the fountain and all that stuff. And it kind of disappoints you to get older and to realize that that's like a total pipe dream. I mean, you kind of know that when you're younger, but it's like you kind of have faith in people. Then you get older and you're like, wow, are we just all kind of doomed? And you just see people doing the same kind of stuff that has been already done through history over and over again. And it's like, we're just living in a constant loop. Like, it's all a circle. Like, and it just kind of gets you down because it's like, what kind of horrible disappointment is this? That like also you get older and you realize I'm like, adults are just so messed up. Like, adults don't know what they're doing at all. They're not using any of this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's like some of y'all need to take the little trainings because it's crazy. I'm just like, these people don't know how to, we got people in the government that don't even use any of this, and it's just crazy. Yeah, it just disappoints you to get older and just be like, wow, you just see how greedy people are, how awful, and I just think you get a different sense of human nature. It was a very interesting class today. We also our professor was talking about how we're good, but only when it's completely by accident. And he was talking about people who like they get like awards for their bravery, and he was talking like people who like jump on grenades and stuff like that. He was talking about he said when you go and you ask those people like why did you do that? A lot of times they'll just be like I really don't know. Like it just hit me, and people very intuitively will go and do like selfless things and save people and all this stuff, but if you give them more time to think, a lot of the times they'll actually act worse. Like it's funny how we're like intuitively good, but with rational thinking we're bad. It like I don't know if rational thinking is a word, but we think our way into being worse, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it was pretty interesting to think about like what is human nature in that regard. But yeah, it just really had me reflecting, and it had me reflecting on this and just like will we never know peace? I've been thinking about that so much recently. I'm like, sometimes it really gets you down. Like, is there any point? But it's like you kind of have to persist because people need better. And it just feels like there's never like you think you're making progress as a society, but meanwhile some completely other evil like is propping up on the side. Like, oh yeah, amazing. Like people have more rights, women have more rights, all these different things. And it's like, okay, but while you weren't looking, people were becoming mega billionaires and destroying the planet. It's like, oh my God, everybody get it together like immediately. We need to have like a freaking world conference. I'm gonna yell at everybody. I'm gonna tell them like, get your freaking act together. Everybody, stop it. Stop. And I just feel like some people need that message. Because it's like, can you stop? Like, we could literally have such a good life, but y'all are ruining it. And it really gets you mad because it's like, bro, when you're trying your best and everyone else is just being a jerk, come on now. Everybody, get with the program. Not everybody, but like everybody who's doing everything, anything bad, like anything, think anything, just stop it. I did it. I solved it. World peace accomplished. It just yeah, it just really makes you feel hopeless sometimes. And but I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and then also thinking about how at the same time I think sometimes we have this negativity bias where I was thinking about social justice recently and thinking about how a lot of times we stay, social justice as we know it now is actually very, very new. Like it really started to pop up in the 60s, and there's this whole entire framework and idea about relearning and teaching people to relearn their prejudices and all these different things that I think is very new kind of idea. I don't think people really discussed prejudice. I mean, maybe they did like different ones, but I don't the way that we understand and talk about prejudice as a society is a relatively recent thing in a way, and I think that that's I don't know, at least in this form, and I think that we forget that sometimes where it feels like such a big part of the way that our world works, and it's like I think people are just starting to learn that concept, and I think sometimes we get very focused on how things are going so badly, but you don't realize that also there are good things going on under the surface. Like even for example, like parenting. I feel like parenting has changed a lot, and our awareness of parenting, and like, people don't shove their kids off to the side, treat them like, don't speak or be spoken to, whatever, however you say it. People don't beat their kids as much, I think, or it's not like normalized. There's a lot of stuff that's actually really improving, and I think sometimes there's life looks really dark and awful. I get this a lot in my own life where I'm just working like tirelessly and I'm feeling so frustrated and irritated and just like nothing is happening and like nothing is working, nothing is improving. And then all of a sudden I turn around and I'm like, "Oh, while I was so busy focused on that negative element of life, like I didn't realize that my whole life was actually getting much better all around me." I think that happens to me like quite a bit. And I feel like I stay stuck myself sometimes in this mentality of like everything is just like universally bad. Like I'm always the same anxiousness level. I'm always the same level of frustration and all this. I've been noticing that recently and working on it. Meanwhile, actually things have changed around me so much. And I feel like sometimes I feel always the same level of defeated. Even though things are going well, I find like a new thing to feel defeated by. And I do feel like sometimes like we do that as a society where we're so focused, and it's hard right now. Right now is a pretty negative time, but I think sometimes we stay really focused on the bad stuff on the surface because it's very distracting and you don't see the good stuff bubbling up underneath the surface and the ways that people like, unlearning, for example, is such a process that we have just really begun to spread, and people are unlearning a lot of different things. And I think a lot of times you don't see that progress until quite a while later. I find that pretty interesting. Like sometimes you're really working hard on something and you have such an eye on it, but then it can kind of change right under your nose sometimes. I even would feel that with this project sometimes, where it's like, yeah, I feel like even right now, like I'm in such a, I've just been working, like I'm constantly just like working at it and working at it, but it's like it's grown so much, and sometimes you just look at what you're doing and you're like, whoa, like that really changed a lot. But yeah, I hope this the Richmond Peace Education Center better be doing okay. I was told that maybe for some reason I thought someone told me it shut down, and I was like heartbroken and crushed. Maybe they just moved locations. I don't know, but go donate to the Richmond Peace Education Center because I'm like, it's my childhood memories. Anyways, okay. We opened quite a few papers. I don't know if I have the stamina to read them tonight. I just want to get things set up for tomorrow. You see, I'm going in with the same level of like this will never finish, and like I'm just like hacking away at it, like and hacking and stuff. And it's like I think it is almost done, but like I just keep treating it with the same level of like this is impossible forever. Yeah, also just the amount that I've learned, I'm shocked in myself that I can actually look at this now. This used to be like word jumble to me, and now I'm looking at it and like it just I'm reading just fine. It's actually crazy how much my vocabulary has picked up in the last year has been like crazy. Like just the fact that I'm like I recognize and can just read and internalize and understand like this paper right now. This is so funny. When I was a kid, like when I was a child, we had to write letters to famous people in the fifth grade. Tell me why I freaking wrote to the Dalai Lama. My parents were very Buddhist, and that was such a big part of our childhood upbringing. I actually wrote to him. I wrote him a letter when I was in the fifth grade, and I asked him. I like I wanted to know his opinion on bullying. I don't know why, like I wasn't being bullied or anything. I just didn't like bullies. I think I just wanted his opinion. And I didn't get an actual letter back, but I did he actually did send me. I don't think it was him himself, but he did send me back an actual signed photograph of himself that I still have to this day somewhere that I need to find. But he did send me back a signed picture of him. So I have a signed picture of the Dalai Lama, which was very funny. I was like a funny kid. I was very into peace as a child. That was my big thing. I was like a peacemaker. It was like my ambition in life. I don't always live up to it, I'm not gonna lie, but I do try. Okay, it's quite literally not letting me set like it's literally not allowing me to download this right now, so we're gonna have to wait. Unfortunately, this seems like the most amazing paper and I need to read it. So yeah, we do have to come back to this one. Yeah, nothing is downloading at the moment. I'm gonna take that as a sign to not read right now, but it's just kind of hard because like I think I'm so hyped up by the fact that I'm doing this right now, and I just want to it's like it's like my like it is like my baby, and I it's like I want to be with my baby and I just want to stare at it, but like the baby's asleep and there's nothing to do with the baby, you know what I mean? It's like but I'm just sitting here like wanting to be with it because it's like my fresh baby. I don't know, like I know that's kind of like a weird like it's kind of a weird metaphor or analogy or whatever, but I'm just like hello, my work that I just poured my heart and soul into for weeks, and now it's like it's alive and it's kicking, and it's like I just want to do something, but I also don't really feel like reading, and I'm just like yeah, I think I'm just like kind of shook. I'm in that weird state of mind where like I don't have the stamina or energy or anything to do anything, but I'm also like kind of wired, not wired, but I'm like excited by this, and I feel like this I've been having really strange dreams every night. Like I've been going to bed and having like the most bizarre and disturbing and weird dreams. I think it's like it's actually been internally disturbing me a bit just because it's like this is so random and massive. And it's been very psychological. This whole thing has been incredibly psychologically intense, but I think getting to the end of it has been it's super psychologically intense because I think like I'm so used to the negativity of like that traumatic experience, and now I'm getting to the end and it's like it's been such a weird like spiritual moment for me. Like, I cannot believe that I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I have supervisors. Like, we haven't interacted, but like, I have them. And like, this is, there's just, I'm just like, I think it's been very like, it's been kind of shaking up my world, my inner world, like a lot. And just that feeling of safety and of everything, because I think I got so used to negativity and just feeling like so down and all this stuff. And it's like, this is the most hopeful thing that has ever happened in my entire life. And it took so much work. Like, I worked on this so hard. And yeah, it's pretty insane. And it's just been kind of psychologically like shaking me up. And I think I'm just feeling a little bit like, whoa, kind of like, where is my life going? And like, what is this? And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. I just feel very like alert with it. Um, I think at night. I had the creepiest dream the other night. It was so weird. It was like I have very like my dreams, they're like full-blown movies. Like my psyche is incredibly creative. Like I will literally like it'll be like a full-blown movie scene going on in my brain at night sometimes with like I'm like, how did I even come up with this? Like how what's going on down there? And I had one the other night that was really weird. It was like this I'm not gonna remember the full thing now, but it was like this guy and there's this very intense scene where he kills this man kills somebody, a woman who was trying to protect her baby. And then the man, but the thing is that she is now like dead, but he just drags her around everywhere he goes, acting, talking to her and talking like she's his friend. It was very bizarre, but it was like a full-blown movie. Like there was a lot going on with it. And there was like it was like very psychological with the man. I don't know what that's about. It was very strange. I have very strange dreams from time to time. That just like um let's not unpack it. But I'm just like, yeah, it was very like I wish I could remember it now, but there was like an intense plot with it. And there was like a moment the man like somehow slightly starts to realize that like he's like speaking to her, but he kind of like I think he started to get a glimpse of his own insanity or something, or it was very weird. I don't really remember it. I don't know what that was about, but that was like 2 nights ago. I've been having really I think the act it's crazy how the further it's just been so psychologically intense to finish this project that like I go to sleep and I have these really vivid and like bizarre dreams. I've had them like the last few nights and I just wake up like really feeling like weird. Not bad weird, but just like kind of like alert and just like I'm processing really intensely at night, I think. I think I just don't know where this is going and I've been kind of feeling kind of like I think that's what's making me feel very alert with it and like I feel that right now of like I think this thing has kind of I used to like kind of joke to myself that this was like Frankenstein, this whole project, because it used to feel kind of Frankensteiny to be like putting all the memories and stuff on it. So maybe that's why I had that dream with that person. But right now it's been kind of like it's alive. And I just feel very like odd and I just feel like there's it's got like a presence to it, and like now I'm like it's like I can't take my eyes off of it. It's not negative. Like I'm proud of myself and I'm happy, but it's just like I just feel like whoa. And right now, especially because like, how am I supposed to relax knowing that this is here? Does that make sense? Like I've never done something like this before, so it's like really kind of gotten me shook and just like also because I wanted this so bad and like it's such a big thing to receive from the universe or from my own self and my own hard work and I just keep having these moments of like, how am I here? Like this wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to like fall apart. But like just like the level I've not even been thinking until recently about like this took such intense consistency and determination and all these different things and like but I did that just naturally and that wasn't me. So I think I've been kind of like just like whoa, like what's going on here? It's really gotten me kind of shaken up on the inside and yeah, it's been like kind of weird. How am I supposed to feel normal? I don't know, that's like my thing. I'm like it's not done yet. Once it's done, I think I'll feel more normal because I'll feel like okay, this is like my life now and I'll do other things, but right now it's like how am I supposed to feel normal knowing that I have to finish this and knowing that like I will finish this? It's like this is gonna happen. This isn't like it's like real. And just like the quote unquote performance that I've been able to pull out of myself, not performance like a play, but like almost like an athlete. I'm just really shaken up. Like this has been like I think it was only today after I finished that part was I like, wow, this took like a lot of thinking. And I've just been expecting it of myself like it's normal, and I'm just sitting here like that was a lot because there was nobody explained to me like how that little acetylcholine uptick happened. And I feel like most of the way through, like it's been a lot of like, oh, this paper explained this or this paper explained that. This was a big one where like I just had to rely on my own logic and my own knowledge and my own research. And I think that that was the thing that really got me shook. I was like, I actually did it. Like I figured that one out. That was good problem solving on my part. And yeah, I'm just feeling like a little bit weird because that means I'll probably do this all the way to the end. The only thing I need is to speak to some. I've been doing this all on my own. And I'm like, no, I want to speak to my supervisor so bad. Like I need it because I'm like, I want to know like what do I do with this? Like what is this? I'm just talking because I genuinely don't know what to do with myself. Genuinely. Like I'm just like I'm so unsettled right now. Like I genuinely like I'm was sitting there trying to watch movies and just feeling so unsettled within myself and like I don't know if I can be with my own head right now. Not in like a bad way, but just like what do I do? What do I do with myself? Meanwhile, my cat is giving herself the most botched cat shower I've ever seen. It's like so spiky and weird. Yeah, she's kind of strange. Anyways, I don't know. I guess I'll have to figure out what to do with myself until I'm exhausted and fall asleep. Hopefully I'll fall asleep in an hour, but yeah, just like what is happening?
So, here we are working on it again the next day. This project suddenly feels like the energy shifted quite a bit after yesterday, where this feels so real now. And I don't know, it took the pressure off, and then it feels like a big responsibility now. But I'm not that far from done. Eating a giant salad and a sweet potato for lunch because I also gained 30-ish pounds, like probably a bit more than that over the course of this project because it was a lot of stress. Like it was a lot of stress eating. I was also doing like work and stuff, so it was a lot of sitting at home, reading papers, stress eating, and ordering Uber Eats, which I shouldn't have been ordering because it's overpriced because I was like, I've been working too much. I don't feel like cooking. And so now we're getting to the end of the project, and it's either buy new jeans or eat salad and sweet potato. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. We're gonna start with closing tabs because I have significantly too many tabs open. Each of this is kind of like a paper or this is random life advice, but one big thing I learned over the course of the last year doing this project and just etc. is that I feel like when our body feels truly prepared and truly in the energy to do something, it's so much easier. And I feel like we spend a lot of time trying to implement habits and trying to implement life changes and etc. that our body, our nervous system is just not there for yet. And that's why I didn't, first of all, that's how I got this project done. You know, I feel like it took like a year of mental prep and physical prep and everything to actually do this. But that's why also, for example, I haven't gone to the gym and like gone like like I have waited until I'm at the end of this to go on any kind of diet because I feel like my body, this was already such a big mental and emotional task. And sometimes we push our bodies into doing so many things. And if we were actually to go with the flow of what our body is ready for, I feel like a lot of times we end up navigating the world more successfully. And that means giving your body permission sometimes to not be in some kind of perfect state. Like yeah, I don't know, just random life advice, but I've just been thinking about that a lot recently, and I didn't push myself to implement any new habits over the course of this project. I think sometimes right now with social media culture there's this tendency to want to keep like start now, push yourself, get in this habit, get in this habit. And it's like sometimes you got to give your body that space to get in alignment and get in a good energy that's going to facilitate what you're going to do, and then not push it to do a million other things outside of it. That's really changed my life. Like I don't, that's the thing is when I give my, like, I've given my body full permission, and I don't stress about the other stuff. That's why I did not stress about I knew I was gaining weight, and I knew my eating habits weren't perfectly healthy and everything, but I just was like, I'm not going to stress myself. That's not the important thing right now, because this was such an emotional task for me. It was so large, and I'm so happy to be here, and it changed my life and it made me feel better. So my mind and my body were here for this. I just feel like I was gonna feel really stretched thin if I tried to, like, you know what I mean? Like, be perfect throughout the whole point, like, thing. So anyways, I opened lots of papers last night. Let's see if they'll actually open this time. Now they are opening up. I'm gonna save all these. I'm gonna put something on the TV I really don't care about, and then I'm just gonna read. I think after this, if I get this sorted, I don't have anything else to add to my literature review. That's the very last thing to add. So it's done. I just need to edit it, get all the text in and everything. This was like the final piece, essentially. There's nothing more. Unless I feel like something needs some extra explaining. It's so insane to even say that in the first place. Like, this is really getting to a close. I'm praying that my supervisor comes back on Monday. Again, I hope he's super duper great and like everything's going well with the reason that he's away. I don't know what it is, but I hope he's okay. And I also do hope he gets back on Monday, because I really want to keep a good pace with this. And it's so close to done that I just want it to be done very badly. Okay, that's a good amount of papers on, we're reading right now about septal neurons, as well as these A1, A2 receptors. What ChatGPT said yesterday is that amygdala activation can increase LC firing, and not all any excites septal neurons. A1 versus A2 receptors matter. So I need to figure out what are those receptors, etc. So yeah. I'm actually exhausted right now because lots of reasons, but I'm gonna just talk through it a bit, and then we're gonna make caffeine. What I already knew was that when acetylcholine goes up, it also makes this theta rhythm like go up, and this theta rhythm oscillation is responsible for encoding, memory encoding. It basically, this little rhythm here is happening in the brain when your brain is learning. So it seems like these septohippocampal things are basically responsible for creating this theta rhythm. So the theta rhythm is important, like acetylcholine is important for it, because what it's saying is that scopolamine, which usually puts ACH down, can remove it. So I think this is this medial septal nuclei. I think that's the exact same thing. Let's double check that ChatGPT was talking about yesterday. Medial septum. So it's very important. Let's make a note. This doesn't seem that hard anymore. Okay, that actually makes it so much better. So basically, these things are just responsible for generating that rhythm. So basically, that means that this NE is increasing the likelihood of that theta rhythm. This thing just keeps getting increasingly more fine-tuned, and I've been really shocked to see it come together like this. I never ever would have imagined that I would be able to do something like this. It's like really shocking. Like, I just feel like every step up it gets more, it's so like, it's not complex per se, but it's very technical, and I just didn't think I'd ever be able to do something like this at all. I'm very surprised to be here right now. Okay, this is important here because I know these are in the hippocampus. So we're going to copy and paste this. These are all notes for my supervisor when I see him, and I hope this week's so bad. So bad. Because I'm dying to have an actual conversation about my work right now, but so septal inputs ended on pyramidal cells, resulting in either excitatory postsynaptic potentials in their basal dendrites or in rhythmic inhibitory postsynaptic potential in their apical dendrites. So
going back to my list from my supervisor, we know that in here in the hippocampus, we have to have pyramidal cells. It's been a while since I learned this. It's like inhibitory, I forget the other one. Is it inhibitory interneurons or something like that? I'll remember later. But these are the ones they have to have. I learned these things way in the beginning of the project. Like I had to, I'm gonna tag the video up here. I had to learn all of this. Like I did like a big study session where I learned like what are pyramidal cells, what are I didn't even know what interneurons were at all, so it was kind of funny, but yeah. So we definitely have to have these. And then it could be, let's like make ideas. This is my first time doing all this in my notes app, kind of random, but something like this. That's probably not 100% perfect yet, but it'll be something like this where these septal neurons, septal inputs, basically are making like waves in the hippocampus, I think. This might also be interesting to him, I hope, because he is not like a stress expert, but he has made different computational models of like the CA1, CA3, like I think like theta oscillations and stuff. So it might still have some kind of be of some technical interest to him, perhaps. I hope so. So now he's talking about interneurons. Well, something in the hippocampus is getting like activated anyways. I keep actually last night I was thinking about like I have this other project that I've been kind of imagining. I had so much lived experience of navigating this specific mental health issue that it's like I naturally have so much inspiration for a gap that there was just not enough sort of in, I don't know if interest, more like information and sort of there was just like a lot of different gaps to fill. There's no medication for dissociation symptoms yet. There wasn't like a there are some dissociation e specific therapies that I was very inspired to sort of like I don't know connect and stuff. And I was just thinking about the possibility of making a good medication for people that have like dissociation specific kind of disorders. Like I was reading that there are some types of PTSD that some people argue that CPTSD is sort of a dissociative-ish kind of disorder, that there are dissociative subtypes of PTSD and all these different things. And also people with borderline personality disorder struggle with dissociation symptoms. There's a lot of different dissociation e symptoms. And as I was reading along, I thought maybe scopolamine could be, if used correctly, I'm not doing like pharmacy stuff, but I thought someone who's like expert in that with the help of this information that hopefully I'll get and maybe people will expand on could actually put together something that actually targets dissociation specifically. And at first I thought maybe I'm getting it wrong with scopolamine. This is the thing is that people with chronic stress, acetylcholine is going up like up and up and up for a long time after stress. And because of that, they actually start when they looked at these rats that were chronically stressed, they actually had less acetylcholine, but they said it's because the acetylcholine was up so high for longer that it was stopping, like it wasn't able to be made anymore. And I've just been sort of like thinking and like, well, how do you like sort of do something for that? And there's a lot of different like thought processes I've had around scopolamine for that, or some other equivalent. There's an actual word for these. Let me find it again. They're called muscarinic cholinergic receptor antagonists. I thought using some variation of something like that would have been a good option, maybe. This is the thing is like you obviously need to do more research, but then I started when I was thinking yesterday about like I kind of took it like even deeper when I was looking at the how these cells are like like they're sort of hyperactive and making it more likely for acetylcholine to go up maybe is like my theory. But I was like, did I get it wrong with scopolamine? Or did I get it wrong with like the idea that it's acetylcholine that should go down? But I think that it's I don't know, I've had like lots of thoughts about it and about like if you aren't in that state of arousal, then maybe those cells it actually gives your those other neuromodulators a chance to kind of go down because the problem is that if you're already in that baseline state of like that kind of like the NE, the amygdala and the NE is kind of sending your brain into like a little like unnerved little like excitable state. And then my thinking is that because of that, this is what I'm looking at right now, you're more likely to be like, okay, arousal, like, okay, we're learning versus like relaxing and letting the state kind of die down. So I was like, maybe it's still not off because it just gives your brain a chance to actually like relax that versus it actually sending your brain up into that state. The other thing I was thinking of though, I don't know how this would go, but there could be a medication that actually just relaxes those little that state, like stops like this is very preliminary ideas, but um these septal it could calm these receptors. Like it could make the septal neurons a little bit less excitable. Again, I don't know what the impact of that would be. Like I'm just these are very preliminary thoughts, but these are all ideas that I've had about medication for dissociation. And then that's why I was designing that little therapy idea because I was thinking about what are all the different things that I would want someone to have if they were to have that kind of medication option. And there's actually other kind of technologies I've been talking about in other videos that are already being built that are already not being built are already in use in animal testing. um I haven't seen anybody do this specific variation of it in humans, so I'm just going to say animal testing so far, but I think people have tried already to do a closed loop simulation where basically the sharp wave ripples are getting like reactivated in a context that would help you diminish the fear, because the problem is that if you're not there's already papers saying that if you're not producing enough sharp wave ripples, if they're getting diminished, basically you can't it's harder to extinguish fear. And that's why people develop PTSD and things, is because they can't consolidate the fear extinction, if that's correct. I need to put all that in my paper. So people are developing technologies that actually kind of like induce those ripples or work with the ripples to actually target memories. And I'm reading a very interesting paper from actually one of my supervisors that I'm finishing up. I haven't finished the paper yet, but he was looking at if you can target like specific memories, and they were able to do that even in the rats, but it's a little bit harder in a human because it's like but I was thinking that you could do it in a therapeutic context, bring up the memories again, and then have people talk through the memories while doing this kind of ripple thing. So those are all the different things I was thinking about with the dissociation treatment that I'm going to mention in my conclusion section, but I think it would be really cool because there's just not that kind of treatment option for people with, like, for example, dissociative identity disorder, and actually dissociative identity disorder specifically, and I'm sure other interrelated therapies, I mean, interrelated treatments kind of for dissociation. People, it's very hard. A lot of people end up stagnating in therapy for years, and I read multiple papers saying this. They'll just be in and out of like basically inpatient care, constantly having, attempts and things. It's a very, very difficult thing to heal from. And so I was thinking it would be good for people like that, and maybe people who have more resistant types of PTSD that aren't responding well to medication options, or etc., kind of as maybe even a last resort or a first resort for people who have specifically dissociative like identity and stuff like that, would all be cool. So those are the two different things that I thought would be like good targets for medication, is either like less excitation of these septal neurons, or you like lower some kind of neuromodulator. So that would include either some version of this that has like maybe that's more trauma centered, and sort of including the fact that like ACH gets it's like it's getting depleted, but getting depleted because there's too much of it because the cholinergic system is too activated. So it could be also repleting. I don't know, something like that. And the thing is that it would just be less targeted, like it wouldn't be as specific, because the thing with closed loop simulation is that people have, I think it's easier to get like, people are literally with the rats, like they're like looking at the ripples and stuff, like it could in theory be more precise with more technology, but it's just a little bit harder. The whole thing is just a little bit more complex, and I think at the moment maybe a bit more invasive. But then a medication option like this, or like this, like one of these two, would be like a maybe a good start for people, because then they're like consolidating more and then less hyperarousal. And then that's where my therapy idea comes in, because you would just have to, I think you couldn't do that for forever. It'd have to be for periods of time. I'm going to link the playlist up here. It would just have to be, I think, for periods, shorter periods of time on these medications, with a lot of precautions in place to help people talk through the experiences that might come up from the dissociation, like wearing down. So that was like my thinking, but I've really been thinking a lot about this as of late. I've been getting excited. Like, I'm actually shook that this is gonna be published. Like, I have zero idea what my life will be from here, but I'm excited at the things that I could do in the future for people with dissociation, because it's kind of personal. So I've just been kind of hyped up about that. Okay, so what these researchers argue is that both, they were going through all these different theories. So they argued that both the cholinergic and GABAergic septa-hippocampal neurons are rhythmic and pace the hippocampal theta rhythms via inputs to hippocampal interneurons. So the interneurons, I'll have to double check. I'll see like what the common consensus is, because I think this paper is maybe a bit, it's from 1990, so I'm sure by now people have gotten more information on this. One of the other things that I was going to talk about in my conclusion is that there's this thing called dissociative absorption, where people get like really immersed in stimuli, and to a point that they feel like they almost lose themselves in it. And it's a really massive indicator for other types of psychopathologies like OCD. Like, people with OCD who have taken those scales have been shown to have much more dissociative absorption than like a control group. So if that is a sort of like a trait that you possess, you're much more likely to develop a psychopathology of some kind. Not to say that you will, but you're more sensitive to it. And I was going to talk about how one thing that I think we could do more research into is that maybe there's some kind of difference in this whole like unit. I don't know, that basically might make you more sensitive to developing psychopathologies. So check if maybe people are more likely to, like, if there's differences in like their cholinergic system, or in the way that their brain sort of produces arousal, that might make it so that they are more likely to get in that mode. I need to figure out how I'm going to frame it and talk about it, but that's something I want to talk about as well in my conclusion. Like, maybe like, for example, like maybe there's these cells, these septal neurons or something, are more likely to get more activated than like another person that doesn't have dissociative absorption at all. And because of that, they're more likely to enter and like have more like acetylcholine through their system that makes them more absorbed in what they're doing. And yeah, and maybe that means that because they have, actually I might write that down right now. Like, maybe for example their septal neurons, and because are like more sensitive, maybe, or somewhere along the line something is more sensitive, and then because of that they're more likely get to have sort of sensitivities to high arousal. That's just one possibility of many possibilities along this entire little circuit. But I think yeah, and then that could make things more arousing or dissociative. And then that could make them more likely to have a harder time extinguishing, like consolidating fear extinction, something like that. It's funny because there's actually kind of a difficult history of with medication, the idea that a medication would help you recover memories. But I think I've been thinking about that, and that's not really the point, I think, of medicating dissociation. Is That's just, I've just been having that thought process, and just it's funny because there just have been, I don't think you should ever see that as the point of medicating something like dissociation. It would just be to quite literally diminish overall dissociation, because not everybody has recovered memories. It's just that people struggle with fear extinction. And I think for some people, like, I think it's kind of like a spectrum, or for some people things can just get so arousing that they can't even face it at all. For some people it's like they can face it a bit but not fully. I'm thinking of the theory of structural dissociation here. And I don't think that would be the point. It's like it's not the point to recover memories. The point is to help people extinguish the fear and to consolidate sharp wave ripples. And then it could be that people have to deal with things that are not yet like the fear is not extinguished yet. And so then that might bring up those kinds of traumatic memories that maybe people haven't dealt with. And that's why I wanted it to be in like a therapeutic context, essentially. But but yeah, again, I think, it's good to do everything with sensitivity, and it's good information to have that there have been difficulties with these kinds of concepts in the past, and that in that things have gotten difficult here and there when we haven't approached that with enough information and enough sensitivity. Like it's good to know. But yeah, I think that just should be used to generate more information about how to safely help people talk people through their dissociative experiences in a better way. I guess now it's gonna kind of be a model of this. It's gonna be a model of arousal, I suppose, but arousal through this lens and about how theta rhythms are generated, and that trauma creates more sensitivity to encoding. Okay, so trauma creates sensitivity to enter encoding sensitivity, like increased sensitivity to enter encoding phases, whether they are because of negative or positive salience, which decreases the chance to enter consolidation mode in the first place. I think that's still relevant. I think that's still going to be relevant to people with chronic stress, just because I think if people are constantly you're getting more and more sensitive to this entire system getting activated. And just because it is kind of hurting your ability to create acetylcholine doesn't mean that you're not just getting increasingly more sensitive, essentially. More sensitive, and then just encoding everything. This was like the story of my life. Okay, this paper, like once this paper is published, if unless nobody watches this, whoever is watching this in the future or whatever, if you're reading my paper, that paper is like, that's my experience that I've had the last few years put into a paper. Like that was me and that was my life. And like that's how I actually made it. It just took me, like, it started with me being like wow, everything is so overly stressful, and everything is so, I didn't have the word arousal then. Everything is so triggering, and like everything is bright and everything is all this stuff. And because of that, I feel like I can't actually sit with my memories. I talked about this all in my hypothesis video about how I got to that idea in the first place. And yeah, I was like, I can't sit with any of this. And then when I'd go to bed at night, that would be the time that sometimes little pieces of things would come up for me that I didn't always fully understand, and they kind of just went back under the surface. Or I would just start to fall asleep, and then I'd wake up like in a startle at something that had just sort of pieced together, but then I wouldn't really remember it that well anymore. So things were kind of consolidating as I would relax. And I did notice that my body stopped being able to relax. So that was my experience, is like what you're gonna see in that was my life. That's why it's a paper now. But yeah, so you just get increasingly more sensitive to encoding, and everything, I guess, no matter what, everything is just more salient, and your brain is just like, okay, we're back in encoding phase again. And I just think that the more people are in chronic stress, the more they're like it's just this constant like, whoa, there's like a lot happening, because I think that these things get more activated, and then you're just overall more alert all the time. A lot of times I felt like my body was so stressed that I couldn't, but I wasn't stressed about anything. That was what would really bother me. And I would try to relax, and I would try to think my way out of it. And it was just like this constant sensation of the world is just too much to handle. And everything just felt like it got more overstimulating. Everything got brighter, everything got louder, everything got this and that. And I never struggled with that when I was younger. I didn't struggle with overstimulation at all when I was younger. Like I didn't struggle with any of that. I had no issues with it. This is the thing, when I was younger, I was always listening to my music and just walking around, going on long walks. I would be like listening to my music. This is like classic ADHD, listening to my music off in a daydream world while wandering the streets. And then nowadays I can't, like I just can't do it. Like I have to be very, even if I just listen to music and walk, it's like there's too much happening and I have to just walk in silence or just listen to my music at home. It's one or the other for me. So I just feel like my brain got more, it's like it just like a lot. Everything is a lot. And that's why I was trying to get this paper together. I was like, this needs to be studied. This is like a lot going on. But that's how I knew something was wrong. I was like, even if yeah, I talked about my back and forth struggle with kind of gaslighting myself out of my own trauma because there wasn't enough information on stuff like this and I didn't really understand myself sometimes. And I was like worried that I wasn't sort of, yeah, I don't know. But the thing is that I knew something was very off no matter what because I didn't function like this when I was younger. Like just the way that my body and my mind reacted to the world drastically shifted and I couldn't, like, it wasn't something I could think my way out of. It was something that was taking a very long time and I was just like, what? I was like, obviously something is wrong here. That's why I set out to explore it because I was like, I don't nobody has an answer. So I need to find it because I feel like I felt very misunderstood. Like I feel like people I couldn't explain because I didn't have science to explain to people. So I just felt very like misunderstood that I couldn't explain to people like this is all happening because of my trauma. I'm not a naturally overstimulated person. I'm not a naturally like constantly stressed person. I wasn't like that as young, like when I was younger, really. I mean, I always had a bit of anxiety, but I wasn't to this degree where it's like everything is so much to handle. And it just really changed the way I navigated the world and all these different things where I had to pare down a lot and just like diminish and diminish the kind of activity that I was doing for a long time. Like I'm just getting back like my feedback with it, but socializing was just a lot of work because it's so hard to walk and then there's like somebody walking beside me and they're talking to me and all this stuff and then like I'm also there's like things moving around me and like it was just like this constant like everything is a lot and there's just like a lot of activity and it was like my brain was struggling to know what to focus on and it just got very very difficult for me and yeah I just that's why I started like I went this mode of like too much stress too much arousal makes it so you can't consolidate your memories because I also started to notice, I talked about all this in my hypothesis video, that when I would get big stressors out of my life, there was a period of time where I was better able to sit with my experiences. And I noticed that the times that I did recover memories, because I struggled with trauma from a period of sexual violence of a few months, basically I noticed that when I would like the times that I did recover memories always coincided with a period right after I got something really massively psychologically stressful out of my life. So school, like the school year ended, or I just cut this person off, or now I'm in my own room and I'm it's quiet here. And those were the times that I would actually consolidate those experiences and even switch. I think there's so much language switch to be had too, of rather than like I'm not recovering it, I'm just consolidating it for the first time. And yeah, I feel like I would consolidate those experiences for the very first time when I was in a state of calm and things kind of left my life that were really massively heavy and weighing on me. And that was the other thing that made me think like there's something here. There's like a mechanism. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, there's a mechanism here where when stress is gone and there's like psychologically less stress, I start to actually put my memories together even like if it's just at night when I'm sleeping, which now makes so much sense because of sharp wave ripples and how consolidation windows happen in quiet wakefulness or during non-REM sleep, right? But I was like, there's like a causal relationship here that I just need to explore, and I don't know how it works, but yeah, that's what I was like seeking to find, and it's pretty crazy how that's translated into something so technical, where each time it was right, but it was like there was more technicality to sort of uncover about it, and yeah, so it's really interesting. Okay, I'm actually, this is kind of funny, but I've been trying to make my videos like I don't notice that I'm talking for a long time sometimes, and then my videos end up getting kind of long. And I think that's gonna happen again if I don't actually stop it here. But this was actually a really big shift too. I feel like I'm making quite a big shift. I only want to come on now basically to if there's like a big shift to talk about, like today was one actually that this theta rhythm thing was happening. So now we know the answer to that. That's what these septal neurons are for. I mean, I'm going to read more, maybe there's more, but I think that's what it's going to do. And so now we know that basically what's happening is that these neurons are basically making it possible for this theta rhythm to start when the cholinergic system is getting activated. And so this is all going to be a theta rhythm thing. It's really coming together a lot. Like, I'm going to sit with it. All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to stop myself from making 2-hour long videos because I hate them. And yeah, I just think every single shift has now been so large. This theta rhythm thing is now big, like massively bigly. Who do we learn that word from? Massively shifted again this project. I feel like every shift has just felt so big. And yeah, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna spend the rest of the day definitely reading more. You might see me later today in the next video, but I'm just gonna read and I think it's done. Like I just feel like the idea and the paper is practically done. The only thing we need to learn now is these A1 and A2 receptors, what do they do? And what does that have to do with the rest of this entire unit? And I'm gonna read more about septal neurons and yeah.
I did something.
Not in something, on someone, you twit!
Oh, sorry, Plankton. Are you on your way to the grand opening ceremony?
No, I am not on my way over to the grand opening ceremony. I'm busy planning to rule the world!
Well, good luck with that. I'm ready.